What does being in Black Broadway mean to you?
Well, you know, I wanted to be in the show. I wanted to be in the show because the people involved uh, are heroes of mine and heroines, uh, if that's the right word. You know, people like Adelaide Hall and Honey Coles, even though he wasn't in the show, Honey and Cookie and Bubba and John Bubbles. You know, Elizabeth Welch I had heard of, but I never saw her. You know, I wanted to be around these people. I wanted to be involved in the show. I wanted to hang out with them backstage and listen to them and hopefully become imbued with the tradition more.
But you've been involved with show business all your life. As the team of Hines, and Dad since a kid. Why would it be so much to you to be involved with these people in particular? You know, so say, I've been in show business for.
Hmm. Well, you know, I have. I've been in show business for about 31 years now. I've been dancing and singing for that long. But the kind of show business that these people come from, it's not happening anymore. You know, this is vaudeville. This is like real intense vaudeville. And these people know so much about show business, and show business is their life, you know, and to be around them is very inspirational for me. And to see them do what they do, it just impresses me, the stamina that they have and the desire to go on stage.
Is there a message in Black Broadway?
I think if there is a message in Black Broadway, it's just the stamina and the tremendous drive that these people have to entertain. You know, people like John Bubbles, who came from California because he wanted to, and Adelaide, you know, and Elizabeth, who come from London because they want to, because they wanted to work on stage and have a reason to dress up and put makeup on and go in front of the lights and entertain and do the songs that they made famous. I think it's an emotional experience for the audiences that come. I think they come expecting to see a bunch of older people, you know, get up on stage and feel sympathy for them, and they get surprised. They get the shit surprised out of them because these people come on and they work, and they sing out and they entertain, and the people are emotionally moved, you know, by the fact the longevity aspect of it alone uh, impresses the audiences.
In reference to tap dancing, which was such a big thing for dozens of years in show business, and it's sort of died out, except for a few people like yourself. What do you feel about the historically tap dancing and the future of tap dancing? Reference yourself personally.
Well, you know, I felt when I first got involved in tap dancing, which was like in the late 40s, like 1949, I think, when I was about 3, I took my first lesson. Tap dancing was still happening. Although vaudeville was going out, people were still making a halfway decent living tap dancing. And then as records came in, uh, shows and stages were filled with record acts who would come on and do one song or two songs and leave. So the tap dancers, it died out. And what happened is a lot of the great tap dancers took other jobs for so long. Now, I didn't tap dance for about 10 years. And I think in the past few years with the popularity of dance, all kinds of dance, disco dancing, tap dancing now is an important thing again. Uh, and people like Honey Coles and Cookie Cook and Bubba Gaines and Sandman Sims and Bunny Briggs and people like that have maintained the art. Even though they didn't dance for a while, they've maintained it. And I think people are impressed with it because uh, tap dancing is it's a percussive thing. There's so much rhythm to it. There's so much to it besides just movement that people are really impressed by somebody who can really tap dance well. Also, it hasn't been seen for so long, it almost looks new to a lot of people. A lot of people have never seen tap dancing. And here comes a guy like Honey Coles, who is a master, you know. I'm real happy that my parents brought me to tap class, you know. I feel real lucky.
Tell me about how you got inspiration to do the Charleston rag that you do with Frank Collins.
Well, the Charleston Rag was a song that was used in Eubie, the play Eubie, that I was in for the opening number. And I always felt that it was a different type song for Eubie. Most of his songs had sort of a similarity in the melodic line, but Charleston Rag had a real, almost a funky feel. You know, it starts off doom 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 doom. So I thought, well, it almost tells a story. So I thought what I'd do is I'd try to come up with some kind of improvisational dance to do. It's a long piece to run around on stage. It must be about 3-4 minutes long. But I thought I'd try to recreate on the stage some of the characters that would hang out in Harlem in the 40s and 30s. Although Eubie wrote this in 1899. And what happened was the first time I did it on stage, I didn't know what I was going to do. But as I was coming to the theater, I saw this guy walking, and he had a real, you know, sort of like a jive hip walk. And I thought, well, that's the first thing I'm going to do when I do it, and see what happens after that. And then the music just took me. I really enjoy doing it because it gives me a chance to really improvise and stretch out. And also Frank Owens, who plays piano for it, he plays it exactly the way Eubie played it in 1899 when he made the first recording, when Eubie was a teenager.
So you didn't do that in Eubie?
No.
So you just did this, created this for Black Rock?
Yeah. Yeah, well, Honey said, you know, let's do a tribute to Eubie. You do a tribute to Eubie. So they came up with Tan Manhattan and Charleston Rag. So I was real turned on about Tan Manhattan because I'd never even heard the song. Eubie wrote that in 1940. And Charleston Rag, I thought it was a real challenge, you know, to just get out in front of an audience and experiment.
All right, I think that, you got anything particularly you want, Sidney?
Just a little more about tap dancing, about, let's say, the difference in styles in tap dancing, which are in the show, and how you interpret, let's say, how Cookie does his thing and Bubba does his. Well, there are different styles of tap dancing in the show. For instance, Cookie Cook, his style of tap dancing is a very fluid style. He dances almost like a saxophone player, solos. You know, he keeps moving. He keeps a lot of 16th notes, like that. He keeps moving, and he's very graceful. It almost looks a lot of times like he may float away. Now, Bubba Gaines is like, he's a real hoofer. Like Bubba will do wings, and he does that thing with tap dancing and skipping rope, which, I mean, I've seen him come in there some nights, he's exhausted. I don't know what he does during the day, but he's exhausted. And when he gets to the rope, somehow, you know, he's like a fighter who knows he's got to jump rope and train. And my style is, I feel it's reminiscent of the people that I idolized as a child, people like Teddy Hale and Baby Lawrence. I like to do as much improvising as I can and be as syncopated as I can and take a lot of risks. Now, Honey, I miss Honey in the show because Honey's style, Honey can, you know, whatever the audience dictates a lot of times, Honey can just go. And I like to see Honey dance because sometimes he'll take a risk and get off balance and just create a fantastic step because he has to. So I think the tap dancing that's in the show is, for people who are really into tap dancing, they get to see a wide variety.
What about the pretty tap dances we have on the show?
The pretty ones. Right, well, the women, Mercedes Ellington and Carla Earl and Terry Griffin and the wonderful Wyatta Turner. I mean, these women can really tap dance. They can do anything that's choreographed for them. And they tap together. That's the thing I like. A lot of times people who tap dance in a group, like you notice if when me and Cookie and Bubba tap dance together, you can see it's different, the way we move our shoulders. But the women, when they tap dance together and they do those things, they really move their arms alike. It's beautiful to watch them. And the costumes are real nice too. Long legs and... It's a great view from backstage too.
Um, the one thing that I was completely amazed at, and was when Honey got sick and you could just fall right in. I shouldn't be amazed at being a jazz musician is like following and playing musicians you never heard before and making it work. Never played it before. But tell us a little bit about why you knew exactly what to do when Honey.
Well, it was interesting because about a month ago, Honey and the Copacetics, they were in BAM, Brooklyn Academy of Music, and they were doing a thing called Steps in Time. So I went down there because I called up the guy who was doing it, and I said, look, I'd like to sit in or tap in with these guys. And he said, okay, come on down. And so I came down, and backstage they said, look, we're going to do this step, we're going to do that step, and we ran it through a little bit. So that day, I sort of fumped it a couple of times, but it looked okay. So when Honey got sick for the show, I had a general idea what the Copacetics did for their opening piece. And the steps that they do for the closing piece are like different rudiment steps and basic steps, although they change them and syncopate them. So I was real challenged by it because I knew that Bubba and Cookie were real upset about Honey getting sick, and I knew they really wanted me to fill in for Honey. And I knew Honey wanted me to go in and do it. So, I worked with them for a couple of days on the steps, and, I felt so good dancing between those two men. I mean, about 100 years of tap dancing, on each side of me. And they were so turned on, that I was doing it with them. And, I look at these men with awe and great respect, for their ability to tap dance. And as I sit down and talk with them, I find that they look at me the same way. And they encourage me to carry on the tradition. And I feel like the experience of being around these men has made me know that I'll always tap dance. As long as I can walk, I'll tap dance. And try to encourage younger people to tap dance also, because it's a great heritage.